Videos like these are helped made possible thanks to the generous support from my viewers. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so over on my Ko-Fi. For as little as just $1, you can help make videos like this one possible. And thank you so much to everyone who has already supported me. So today, I want to talk about Deltarune Chapter 3. In my Predicting Deltarune video, I didn't talk about it a lot because that video was more about giving a vague layout of how I think the game is going to go without getting into too many specific details. This video is going to be the opposite of that, where I'm going to be making more specific predictions about what I think is going to happen in Chapter 3. Just keep in mind that these predictions are for fun, and you shouldn't take them too seriously. And it's not that I think all of these ideas will happen, just that some of them will. So let's start at the beginning. Just like the start of Chapter 2, I think Chapter 3 will start with a black background with a character talking in white text. So far, both Chapters 1 and 2 started like this. I think it's pretty safe to say that at least most of the chapters will start like this. Now, I believe that these intros are actually memories from Chris's POV. I don't really want to get into great detail about why I think this is the case in this video, just for the pace of this video. Maybe I'll make a video talking about it in the future. But I think the intros are Chris's memories, and how I think Chapter 3's intro is going to go is that it will be a character telling Chris to wake up. It might be similar to the unused intro, but not the exact same. Now, I think this character telling Chris to wake up is going to be either Toriel, Azriel, or Des. Maybe Susie. But it will cut to Ralsei shaking Chris awake. Chris and Susie will be sleeping on the couches in the green room. Ralsei is going to wake Chris up and then tell Chris to go wake Susie up, and then we will walk over to Susie and wake her up. It will take Susie a moment to realize she's in a dark world, but when she does, she will say, "Chris, the night broke into your house while we were sleeping and made a dark world." And then Ralsei will be like, "We gotta go seal the fountain." And then we will be off to go play the new chapter. So yeah, I think we're going to start in the green room. And with that idea in mind, I want to point out a little detail about the room. There are 3 doors in the room. And what do I think this will mean? Well, I think Chapter 3 will be semi-non-linear. Toby has said in the past that Chapter 3 is going to be an unconventional chapter, and I think what he means by that is in terms of level design and level structure. Both Chapters 1 and 2 were very similar in that they both had a field area that led into a short transitional area, into a second area, at the end of which we are captured and then do a prison break, and then the final dungeon. But how I think Chapter 3 is going to be structured is that you're going to be able to do 2 or 3 different activities in any order you want, and once you have done them all, you will then go into the next story bit, and then you will go into another non-linear segment just like the first one, and then after that you will do the final dungeon. Once we get access to the dungeon, you can then backtrack to go do the secret boss, but we will need the Shadow Mantle in order to beat them. Now, as for what I think those activities are going to be like, well, I think each one is going to be based on a different TV channel / movie genre, and that these segments will all differ from each other. As for those segments, I think we will get a Weather Channel level, where we fight the Weather Duo as a mini-boss at the end, although maybe it will just be the news in general, with the Weather Duo just being a part of it. I think there will be a sports segment, where we will play a baseball minigame. I think we might end up getting a Godfather parody as well. I think a cooking show is pretty likely, where we will have to do a cooking minigame. Ralsei will mess up because he only knows how to do cauldron cooking. I could see a sci-fi level happening. I see the movie may make an appearance, and by may I mean most definitely. But we will 100% get a giant monster movie segment featuring Susie Zilla fighting an Ultraman parody. Doing a game show at some point also feels very likely. You know, as I'm writing this, I can't help but to think about Hotland and Mettaton and feel like we've already done a lot of these ideas. But the thing is, we know that the theme is TV, and there's only so much you can really do with this thematic, but I wonder how much Toby is willing to retread old ground. Obviously, I think they will play out very differently if we say get a cooking show again, but still, at the same time, we did do a cooking show in Undertale. But at some point, we will progress to a point where Tenna will walk on screen and say, "Let's all give a big round of applause to the person who made this wonderful dark world, the Roaring Night!" And then a spotlight will shine onto Undyne. All of the Darkners will believe that Undyne is the Night. Susie will also believe that Undyne is the Night, and hilarity will ensue. This will be one of the main conflicts of the chapter, as Undyne will play a similar role to what Berdly played in Chapter 2, as Undyne will be very confused about what's going on, and this will be played for laughs. Now, as for the matter of Toriel, at some point in the chapter we will run into her. Now, the first thing I want to talk about in regards to her is her interaction with Ralsei. I've seen some people suggest the idea that Ralsei will conveniently never meet Toriel, and I really hate that idea. I think the character insight potential is way too high to pass up. If there is no interaction between Ralsei and Toriel, I will unironically be mad. But here is how I think the interaction is going to go. Toriel is going to ask Ralsei how old he is, and Ralsei is going to respond by saying, "I'm the same age as Chris." And then Toriel will say, "Oh, I guess you're just short for your age." As for the rest of Toriel's role in the chapter, well, there is a lot of different ways it could go. I remember a lot of older speculation was around her being a party member and having a weird route with her killing Darkners with her fire magic. The idea being we make Chris take damage and she attacks the Darkners in retaliation. But I think these theories have waned in popularity. I don't think they're necessarily terrible, but I've never been able to see them coming true. Same goes with Toriel being a party member in general. I don't see it happening. Honestly, Toriel listening to Chris and letting them be the leader is the most immersion-breaking thing that could possibly happen. Much more than Chris talking to us directly and saying, "I live inside a video game." But I do think she will teach Ralsei Fireshock. And also, we can't forget about Chariel, the beloved living room chair, will also make an appearance. Who will be Toriel, but made out of chair. I do think the amount of time Toriel is going to be with us will be somewhat short. I think she may end up being captured and we'll need to go and rescue her, or something like that. But I also think that we will be able to get an item that will give us access to Toriel's room in the Light World. This will be something that is a secret we will have to find, and not something you just get for progressing the story. Now, as for story developments, Toby has said that this chapter is going to be light on story, which I think does make sense with where we are in the plot. It makes sense that after a major early game twist that creates as many questions as answers, that the plot will slow down a little bit to let the audience contemplate these new revelations, instead of going headfirst into answering these new questions right away. But it also doesn't mean no story at all. Overall, I think we are going to be getting some insight on the Dreamer family, not just Toriel, everyone, Chris, Azriel, Asgore. We will probably get more information on the divorce and Chris's childhood, and probably more info on Des and what happened with her. Now let's go ahead and talk about the ending of the chapter. There will be a resolution where the party will realize that Undyne is not the Night, and we will get Tenna to ally with us in some way. Susie and Ralsei will tell Toriel and Undyne that everything was a dream, and Ralsei will put them to sleep. Then we will go and seal the fountain. Toriel and Undyne will be sleeping in the living room, but unlike last time, they are not going to wake up right away. Instead, Chris and Susie are going to leave them sleeping. Then we're going to go into Chris's room, take the birdcage out of the wagon, take the wagon downstairs, and put the TV in it, and then use it to take the TV to the school closet. After we leave the castle town, Toriel will call Chris and tell them to return home immediately. When we return to the house, Toriel and Undyne will be there along with the mayor. Toriel will explain to the mayor that someone slashed her car's tires and then broke into her house and stole her TV. And not only did Undyne do nothing to stop this, but Toriel found her sleeping on the couch. The mayor will either put Undyne on leave, or just fire her straight up. Now, whether or not we will get a full Light World segment in Chapter 3 is up for debate. Based on the teasers for Chapter 4, it seems that we're going to get 2 full Light World segments, one before the Dark World and one after. Both of these screenshots are from Chapter 4, and in one it's raining and in the other it's not, so that suggests that they happen in different times. Also, notice that the police station has a big close sign on it, suggesting that something might happen to Undying's job. Okay, well, that's more or less it, but don't leave yet, I have one more thing to talk about. So in the past, Toby has teased a cowboy segment, but then later he said that that segment ended up getting cancelled. The vagueness of this cancellation led people to make theories about it not actually being cancelled. However, in the latest newsletter, we got to see concept art for this, with Toby more or less restating that the segment was cut. So I want to try and guess what that segment was going to be like. So what I think was planned to happen was that some evil Darkners were going to show up and grab Ralsei and tie him to railway tracks. And Chris and Susie will have to go cowboy mode in order to save him. That's what I think would have happened. In another universe, where Deltarune would have been released by now, and with a cowboy show still in it. Anyway, thanks for watching till the end of the video. It'd mean a lot to me if you'd leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Also, I'd like to remind everyone again about my Ko-Fi. I don't make any money off of these videos because YouTube hates me. If you want to know why, you can watch my channel update video. And if you want to know what my thoughts on the secret boss for Chapter 3 are going to be, I had an entire segment about that in my Deltarune newsletter analysis video, so just go watch that one. Anyway, bye.